Today, we're going to be a little bit honest about one of the biggest shocks in nursing that has nothing to do with workload. And I would say it's the schedule. Nurses work all kinds of shifts, and the one that you choose, it can affect your pay, your sleep, as well as your entire lifestyle. So if you're in nursing school, if you're a new grad and you're thinking about, accepting a job, the first thing you want to do is make sure you're looking at the schedule that you'll be taking. And so this video is going to help you understand the different shifts that are out there and which one might actually work for you. If you're new here, my name is Stacey, and I want to say thank you so much for tuning in to the ThinkNursing page. I would love for you to go ahead and follow me on TikTok here as well as on YouTube, Nursing, where I share longer form content. And as usual, we talk about everything as it relates to being a nurse or in nursing. We talk about burnout, growth, and we talk about money, and we also talk about schedule. So please go ahead and join the page here. So we're going to break down the different shifts that nurses work, because a lot of times persons are not explaining that, especially in nursing school. And trust me, it matters more than you think, because as I say, it affects your pay and it also affects your lifestyle in general. The first shift we're going to start off with is the day shift, because this is one of the shifts that most people imagine when they're thinking about nursing. Day shift in the hospital, though, it usually runs from like 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. But in the clinics or in the school, it might look like a 8 to 4, 9 to 5, that kind of, time period. So depending on where you're going to be working, you have different shifts. One thing about day shift is that it is very busy. You've got doctors running around, you have management around, families asking questions, and everything just seems to be happening at once. So it's always a little bit crowded or congested on day shift. The good part about day shift is that you have a lot of support. So if you're a new nurse, this can feel a little bit safer for you, because there are a lot of persons available for you to ask your questions. The downside to day shift is that, yes, money might be a little bit less than you expect, and it is also mentally exhausting. You have night shift that, yes, this is where a lot of persons tend to start off. A lot of nurses tend to start off on night shift, which usually begins at 7 p.m. and it ends 7 a.m. And on night shift, you tend to get a little bit more money because of the shift differentials. Because if you're looking at a night shift differential of $4, $6, yes, especially for the new grads, it's beneficial. On night shift, you have fewer visitors, there's not much management, you have less chaos sometimes, you understand, but a lot of times the patients can be very, very sick. One of the hardest part about night shift, I would say, is that when it comes on to your sleep schedule, it is very, very much affected. Social life, your family life, all of those, it is, being affected. Some persons, they do love, night shift, but when it's a time for them to get like a switch, so for example, they want to take a night off and have somebody else work the shift, it's always difficult to find coverage. You also have some swing shifts or mid shifts that it's like from 9 to 9 or 11 to 11. A lot of times you have persons doing those, and you also have some shorter shift that we call princess shift, 3 to 11 or some 8-hour shift. So you get a little bit of both worlds on those mid shift. You understand, a little bit of daytime activity, sometime, with nighttime activity, but you also benefit from the shift differential. The downside on that mid shift is that, it cut into your evening, and so sometimes you might not have much of a social life. But most hospitals, I would say, do 12-hour shifts 3 days a week, and that is something that you have to just make sure you put your mind to. The biggest advantage of this is that you get a lot of days off. So you work 3 on and off 4, and that is something that is amazing for a lot of persons. Just remember that these 12-hour shifts are long. You have to be very, very prepared mentally and physically for a night shift. The 8-hour shifts are more common in clinics and school, as I said, and those are a little bit more predictable, shorter. So you have a lot of persons that might work 5 days of 8-hour shifts just to get the amount of hours. So if you're looking for like a work-life balance, then that is one of the area that probably will fit you a little bit in terms of your needs. Some hospitals also do weekend shifts, and that is another option for you. So some nurses work every weekend and they're off during the weekdays. A lot of seasoned nurses tend to work those shifts, but one thing about it is that when it comes on to social events, you might end up missing out on that. Night shift, I say, is one of the hardest schedule because it affects your sleep as well as your health. And so depending on, what shift you're looking for, if you're planning on doing night shift, I would say do it short term, so you can always be able to switch back and forth so you don't have that problems with your circadian rhythm. Some nurses also work like on call, and you also have persons that work per diem or as needed. This gives you some flexibility, and a lot of times it's a little bit more in terms of higher pay. And this is one that a lot of persons that have experience, A lot of nurses that have experience will tend to take up the PRN roles. One thing I would say when you're choosing your shift, you need to find out what is going to be best for you. And you have to ask yourself some questions. Do I need a higher pay? Do I need better sleep? Do I need to learn with more support? What fits my lifestyle right now? And once you're able to answer that, then you should be able to choose the right shift. But remember, whatever shift you start off with, it's not something that you have to be on for the next 5 years, 10 years. You can always switch, because one thing about nursing is that, there's so many departments that you can work in, and there is always something that is going to be fitting for your schedule or your lifestyle. So I want you to go ahead and just drop in the comment box below, what shift are you planning on working? And then from there, we can have a conversation. Until then, I want to say thank you so much for tuning in to the Think Nursing page, where we share everything related to nursing, travel, and lifestyle. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.